trying to like look up at this thing. He said he could feel an electricity, like a static, all over his body. He felt like time had slowed down when he looked up at this UFO, and then boom, everything goes black. He wakes up, and when he wakes up, it's to the sound of his radio going off in the car. And when he responds, they're like, Mario, where are you? What is going on? Like, we've lost all communication with you. What is happening? And he looks around, and the silo is nowhere to be found. And there's just this big white wall. He comes to find out he's next to a reservoir that was near the installation, almost 9 miles away. So whatever happened between seeing the UFO over the silo and waking up, him and his partner had somehow gotten 9 miles away. And over, I believe it was 2 hours had passed. So he had 2 hours of missing time between UFO and blacking out. And again, he wakes up and his partner is still there, frozen to the steering wheel.
Wow.
This is crazy, man. They get him back to, like, the office. They interrogate him and his partner for, like, 12 hours about what had happened, what they remembered. Office of Special Investigations for the Air Force got involved. So they're like the police who police the military and look into special investigations. They interrogated the hell out of these guys, tried to figure out what was going on, and then they got the typical, don't ever speak about this, don't ever talk about this. A week later, they sent his partner to, like, China or something, got him away from that base because they didn't want these guys together talking about this event at all. He had to sign a bunch of non-disclosure agreements. He had to have a bunch of medical tests done to test him for radiation, stuff like that. To this day, he still has no answers to what it was that happened. But something happened over that nuclear missile silo. Something happened where he's missing 2 hours of time and was found 9-10 miles away from where the event happened. So that one's crazy. It's probably one of the most dramatic cases I've come across that I put in one of my books. All we can hope for is that his partner is somewhere out there and he'll come forward and talk about this thing too. We have an active private investigation going on to try to track down his partner.
He won't come out of hiding or whatever? You can't...
Yeah, who
can't
knows?
be found?
Who knows? We don't know where he is, where he's at now, what he thinks about all this, but my hope is that we can get these two guys together and they can hash this thing out, because it's deeply affected Mario.
Sure.
I mean, he was in tears by the end of my conversation with him, so something happened, and something dramatically affected him. It happened over November 5 back then. It's stuck with me ever since.
From the driest of lands comes the wettest of beers. Brewed according to ancient modern traditions by experts in skills. Carlton Dry, imported from Drylandia.
Have you ever spoken to anybody that was abducted?
All the time. Yeah, I've spoken to many quote-unquote experiencers or abductees. A lot of them don't even like being called abductees because they don't feel like they were taken against their will. They wanted to go. They found it beneficial. And you know, abductions are tough. Like, I don't really know where I stand on them. Even being a UFO guy every day of my life, like, I would consider myself an open-minded skeptic. Like, I'm open to any possibility, to be completely honest. But I've come across many abductions. Some very dark, some very funny and awkward, and some just downright weird. And I don't know where I personally stand on it. But again, it's a case of these people were... something happened. Something traumatic, something life-changing. I mean, I remember interviewing a woman who said she was abducted, and I met her in a diner with her husband. And I thought it would be like, oh, this is going to be so cool. It was it was like when I first got into UFOs. I'm like, this would be a cool story to tell in like an article or a book someday. And I kind of went in naive thinking, let's get this thing down and get it out there. And I left that meeting being like, holy shit, man. This really traumatized this person. I mean, when she told me about this abduction where like these grays took her, put her on a table, experimented on her, it was terrifying. She could remember seeing like beads of sweat coming off of these little gray beans, and she didn't know where she was or what was going on. When I looked at her telling this story, I look over and she's like clenching her husband's hand so tight and leaving indents